Hello everyone, the Big Easy Chef here. This time we're going to be making spaghetti sauce. This sauce comes out thick, rich, full of flavor, very rustic. It has large chunks of Italian sausage, slices of mushrooms, and big chunks of tomatoes. Pay careful attention as I'll be doing something to make this sauce nice and thick and to give it the taste that has been cooking all day long. However, this sauce is made fast and it's easy to make. Once you make this sauce, you'll become the famous spaghetti sauce maker. So get ready to be the king or queen of spaghetti sauce. Let's not waste any more time. Why don't you and I run into that kitchen and see what's a-shaking and get to baking. Open a 28-ounce can of chopped tomatoes and dump them into a strainer. We won't be using the liquid from the tomatoes. We just want the large chunks of tomatoes. Allow the tomatoes to drain for a while we are working on the other ingredients. Okay, let's start with 2 large sweet onions. Now you could use yellow onions also. They would work just fine. Chop your onions into medium-sized pieces and now set them aside for a while. Now I have 24 ounces, 1.5 pounds of white mushrooms. Start with cleaning them off. I like using a damp paper towel. This works pretty good. I also cut the stems flush with the bottom of the mushroom. Now slice the mushrooms into somewhat larger slices. I like the mushrooms cut larger so you can find them in a sauce. So if you want to slice your mushrooms thinner, that would work fine also. Now we want to chop some fresh rosemary. Remove the rosemary from the stems. We don't want to use those stems. Now chop the rosemary into smaller pieces. We want about 1/4 cup of chopped up rosemary. Set the rosemary aside for now. Smash and peel 4 large cloves of garlic. This garlic's going to give the sauce a very nice flavor. Set the garlic aside for now. Take some fresh basil. Chop the basil into larger pieces. Set the basil aside for now. Take a large skillet and place it on a burner. Add the chopped onions to the skillet. Sprinkle some salt on those onions. The salt will bring out the water that's in the onions. We want all of the water cooked out of these onions. Also, this is what's going to help make the sauce nice and thick, getting rid of that water. Now it's time to add the sliced mushrooms to the skillet. Just dump them on top of the onions. Now, sprinkle a little salt on top of the mushrooms, as we want to get the water out of the mushrooms. Like the onions, mushrooms contain a lot of water also. Turn the skillet to medium-high. Now, if you noticed, we didn't use any oil in the skillet. We won't be needing any, as the water will cook out of the onions and mushrooms, leaving them full of flavor. And this will keep our sauce nice and thick, not watery. You can see the steam coming out of the onions and mushrooms. And you know what steam is. It's water cooking out of those onions and mushrooms. You can also see the water boiling right out of the onions and mushrooms. Once the steam has stopped and you can't see the water boiling any longer, the onions and mushrooms have cooked long enough. It's time to remove them from the burner. Dump the onions and mushrooms in a large pot. You're going to need a really large pot for your sauce. Now using that same skillet, add 2 pounds of Italian sausage. If you want some really great Italian sausage, I have linked a video and recipe in the description box below on how to make this great Italian sausage. Turn the burner on medium-high and brown your sausage. Break the sausage into chunks. I like the sausage into large chunks. This is just a personal taste thing, so you could make the sausage into smaller chunks. When the sausage is brown, remove it from the skillet. Drain any fat from the sausage. The sausage that I made doesn't have a lot of fat to drain. Now add the sausage to your big pot. Okay, now in the big pot, add in those drained chopped tomatoes. These tomatoes are going to give your sauce a nice texture. Now turn on the burner to start heating up your sauce. Set it to medium for now. Okay, it's time to add your spices to the sauce. Start with 1 tablespoon of paprika, 1 tablespoon of dried oregano, 1 tablespoon of dried basil, 1 teaspoon of ground black pepper. And now dump those spices in the pot. Oh, let's not forget the salt. Add 2 teaspoons of kosher salt. Add that 1/4 cup of fresh chopped rosemary. And now it's time for that chopped up garlic. Make sure all of the garlic gets into the pot. Now we're going to add 2 tablespoons of dried parsley, 1/4 cup of fresh chopped basil. No, we're not making a mistake. We're using dried and fresh basil. Both will add a different flavor, and the fresh will be very visible in your sauce. Okay, now for the tomato sauce. We have this super large can. It's 6 pounds and 9 ounces of tomato sauce. Now, if you buy this somewhere like Costco, the cost is very cheap and it's about the same price as what you'd pay for a small can in a regular store. So dump in the tomato sauce. Oh, don't just dump it in. Pour it in slowly. You don't want it splashing all over the place. Get out the big spoon and give your sauce a good mix to combine all of those ingredients together. Allow the mixture to come to a low boil and adjust the heat to maintain a simmer just below a low boil. Now you want to simmer your sauce for at least 1 hour. Stir the sauce often. You don't want to burn the sauce on the bottom. You can see the bubbles in the sauce. This is the perfect simmer that you want. After an hour of simmering, this is what your sauce will look like. Can you see those big chunks of sausage? How about those mushrooms? Oh, and those chunks of tomatoes. This sauce looks perfect. So let's give it the taste test. Now, if you feel this sauce needs any adjustments to the ingredients, this is the time to make those necessary adjustments. If you need to make adjustments, then cook this sauce a little longer. Oh, say 15 minutes. However, this batch is perfect. No adjustments required. Okay, so now you have made this huge pot of spaghetti sauce. It's time to start cooking up some pasta. Once this sauce has cooled, it freezes up very nice and is always on hand for an easy, fast spaghetti dinner or lunch. Okay, now with that pasta cooked, pour some of the sauce over the pasta. Now sprinkle a little fresh grated Parmesan cheese over the plate of the best spaghetti ever. Okay, so now as promised, you can make this thick, rich, full of flavor, great tasting spaghetti sauce that tastes and looks like it was cooking all day long. And you see how easy it is to make. You can call Mr. Pragu and Mrs. Ragu and tell them they've been canned. Also, don't forget, if you want to know how to make this Italian sausage, look in the description box, where I've placed a link to the recipe, instructions, and video. I've also linked in the description box below the free printable recipe and instructions for the spaghetti sauce. You can also find free printable recipes and instructions at my website, thebigeasychef.com. So check it out. Okay, now you know what time it is. It's time to dig in. Remember what they say, you are what you eat, so eat healthy. Until next time, I am the Big Easy Chef.